A very good morning to you. This is, of course, the Chat Trap on Relax Radio. Hope you are having yourself an amazing day so far. It definitely is a beautiful day out there. And me, Jamie, and we've got Aaron as well. Both of us will be keeping you company for a long, long time, talking to you about a lot of different things. Aaron, why don't we give them a little summary of what they should expect for the next 2 hours or so?
Yes, thanks, Jamie. So, yeah, a very good morning from myself, Aaron. So, we'll be talking all things entertainment, a lot of things such as the new 007 announcement from Amazon, just a little bit of entertainment things, first impressions, and also another couple of things. Just we'll keep that private for the later in the show.
Of course. Yeah, that's right. And we'll be talking to you about other things as well. We'll be making sure that you are inspired and informed, which is why you need to make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. Now, if you want to be a part of the show, like Aaron just told you, we have a lot of very interesting things lined up, okay? And we want you to be a part of the show. We want to hear your thoughts, your opinions, if they're say similar to us or if they're different, whatever it is, we would love to hear from you. Or if you just want to say hi to the both of us, please do go ahead and do that. You could connect with us by calling us up on the number that is shown on the screen. That is 07852 Or very simply, you could comment down below and let us know how your day is going, because we would absolutely love to hear from you. With that being said, Aaron, I thought before going into the serious conversation, since it's early in the morning, I thought I needed to share with everybody. We thought we needed to share with everybody a few tips on how you can be very productive, on how you can be as productive as possible. Now, Aaron, do you think being productive is important? Why do you think being productive is important?
Definitely think being productive is important, especially just now coming out of lockdown. Everyone's coming back to normality now. Definitely a few tips that we can kind of follow is a little bit of exercise is important. Getting out the house is very important after being shut down for so long in an enclosed space. Getting in some fresh air, especially if the sun's shining like it is today, and just enjoying what the outdoors has to offer.
Exactly. Very absolutely true. I agree with that. And also, why I think being productive is good or important is because I don't know about you, Aaron, but at the end of the day, say I was chilling, watching Netflix the whole day, just not doing anything. At the end of the day, that feeling that you have within you of not being able to accomplish is absolutely horrible. I don't know if you have that feeling, but on the days where you couldn't get anything done, if you had things that you needed to do and you couldn't get anything done, that feeling that you have is absolutely terrible. And that's why it's so important that we be productive. But with that being said, I completely understand that some of us just need to take some day off, right? We need to take some time off, but obviously you can't take time off all 7 days of the week, which is why it's important to have a routine, to have a schedule, to be productive on certain days and, take a vacation on the rest of the days. And yeah, like Aaron said, make use of the outdoors, instead of just being cooped up in a room. I think if you do go outside, if you try to experience life, it kind of helps with you being productive. And I think the other most important thing that I do is to make a list. Okay, that is, I know it sounds really cliche again. I know it sounds like something that everybody does, but honestly, a lot of us don't do it enough. And and I feel like a lot of people that do critique having a to-do list are the people who haven't actually tried it out. Yeah, it's very ironic because I was one of those people. I was a huge cynic. I used to be like, oh, how is a list going to help me get stuff done? But it kind of helps in terms of helping you remember what you need to get done within the day, so you could like tick off the things that you do, and that is really satisfying and really nice to be able to check off certain things that you did.
Yeah, personally for me, I started writing things on my calendar on my phone. So, I like to write certain things I've got to do in the morning. I make some room for, me time if I want to relax, chill out. I've also started writing down what I like to eat, so in certain days. So I've got that organised already, ready for me to go, and my day's all set out. So, these are the small things that we can kind of tweak in our day-to-day life to make it a little bit easier, a little bit more productive, and it'll actually free up some more time for you to accomplish more tasks in the day, and get out and do what you want to do instead of being cooped up and working all day. It frees up some more time for you. Isn't that right, Jamie?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one thing that we haven't spoken about so far, time management. So if you, like Aaron just said, if you want to be as productive as possible, you need to manage your time. And when I say being productive, it doesn't mean being a workaholic 24/7. It doesn't mean tackling work tasks all the time. It just means spreading out your day, setting specific boundaries for everything, whether it's work or whether it's entertainment. You just need to have a boundary for everything so that you can function to the best of your ability. Now, before we move on with more tips and tricks on what you can do to be as productive as possible, I want to say a big hi going out to Abu Said Abdullah listening in. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. He says hi to me and Aaron as well. A big hi going out to you, and thank you so much for being a part of the show. We also got, as always, Cameron and let's see, David, I think, is listening in. Thank you so much for being a part of the show as well. It is such a pleasure to have you on board. A good morning going out to you. If you want to be a part of the show as well, all you gotta do is comment down below. Now, Aaron, let's go back into the conversation that we were having earlier on about what we can do to be as productive as possible. And one thing that I need to talk about is how a lot of us, wake up thinking of all of the hard things that we're supposed to do, dreading the things that we don't like. But why is it important that you tackle all of the most important tasks the first thing today? Like, say you wake up and the first thing that I want people out there to do is to tackle all of those hard tasks instead of procrastinating. Are you somebody that procrastinates, Aaron, or how does it work with you?
Depends who you ask. I think that I do have my moments where I do, procrastinate too much. But I definitely think going forward, you need to kind of get the harder tasks in your day out the way as early as possible. It's kind of going back to like as a child, your parent would try to force you to eat your vegetables before you eat anything else, or had any sweets or ice cream. So it's kind of something like that. But you need to. I think it's very, very important to get all the important things that you've got on your to-do list out the way early, and then you've got your whole day to enjoy.
Exactly. So that message is out to everybody listening in. If you want to be productive, I guess make a list first of all, and make sure that you tick off the hard things, because like Aaron said, and he gave one of the best analogies that I've heard in a long time. It's like eating your veggies first. It's like doing what you don't like first of all, so that you have the rest of the day for yourself to enjoy. So what we want is for you to be as productive as possible. But with that being said, I also want to remind you that it's super important to take time for yourself. If you are mentally and emotionally exhausted, which is a very good excuse to take a break, to step back a little bit, because let's be real, even the toughest of us need that little break sometimes. So I don't know about you, Aaron, but I think only us individually and respectively can decide when we need that break, and when you need it, you really need to take that break. So yeah, I guess I'm telling you to work hard, but make sure that you listen to your body, that you listen to your mental health as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know about you, Jamie, but I feel like I need to earn my fun in a way. So I need to get out all the difficult aspects early as possible, and I feel like I've earned that, so I can enjoy the rest of my day. If you kind of get what I mean. But yeah, it's definitely good habits we need to follow. Eating right, making sure our listeners are drinking enough water. It's just small things that we need to the good habits we need to continue to live a healthy life.
Absolutely. That is so important if you want to be productive. That's what we've been talking about. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about being productive. And it's super important to take care of your physical body. Like Aaron said, to, give it some time to give some physical activity to your body, especially if you work like a office job where you sit 24/7. And, if you do a job like that, make sure that you give your body the exercise it needs, because your body truly deserves to be healthy as well. And you also got to listen to your mental health. Like Aaron just said, it's super important that you look into all aspects of yourself so that you can be as productive as possible. Now, with that being said, I think we'll take a little break. But what do you say, Aaron? We have a lot more to talk about, but let's take a little break. And we'll be back very soon to talk about some very, very interesting things that you wouldn't want to miss out on.
very good morning and welcome back to Relaks Radio. This is the Chat Trap, and we are here keeping you company and giving you listeners some good conversations that we are getting dived into that are also informative and inspirational to get your day underway this sunny Friday. Make sure to join us by leaving a comment, or if you listeners are live, give us a call on the number on your screens now. That's 07852 473 473. We'd love to get you involved. So, Jamie, we're going to go on to that next point we were talking about, that very interesting point that I think many of our listeners could use in today's society. That's first impressions. I think that's something that's so important in today's society, definitely, if people are going for job interviews, if they're meeting up with a new bunch of friends, for example, or if they're meeting somebody on a dating website. You know, it's first impressions are just so important in today's society. So, I don't know about you, Jamie, but when I'm going for a job interview, I like to look so smart. I like to get my shirt on, my tie on. I need to look smart. But a part of me says, you know what, Aaron, that's just a part of society. You know, we've grown up thinking that. Why do we need to do that? And, you know, the question is, we don't really need to do that, because in a job interview, or if you're meeting friends, you should be accepted for the person you are. You know, inside, never mind painting a front that you're not really. You know, I'll be honest, I don't wear a shirt and tie every day to you know, my job. I don't come on Relax Radio and wear a shirt and tie. I like to be myself, and I think that's very important in today's society. So yeah, I just wanted to share with our listeners, you know, don't be ashamed of being yourself, and don't be ashamed of expressing who you really are, because first impressions, you can't get that back. And I think that, you know, showing who you really are is vital in today's society. What's your thoughts on that, Jamie?
Absolutely agreed with everything you said, and I think society definitely has built this necessity, a need for first impressions, where we need to look perfect on the first sight. And I think the science of first impressions in itself is very complicated, and it's very what's the word, influenced by things very much outside of our control. It's sort of like this neurological processes that we don't understand, and it's this inaccurate stereotypes that are thrust upon people when first impressions are made. Now, what I want to try to give everybody that's listening in, Aaron, is a better understanding of what's going on. There's a lot of different chances out there, and I want to remind everybody listening in that we don't have to lose a good friend or a companion, or just getting to know somebody else based on first impressions, because a person's personality is so much more than that first second of visual sight. There is evidence that we are able to make assessment of someone's attractiveness in the blink of an eye. It's a human tendency. We tend to look at people, and the first second we come up with a whole bunch of stereotypes. We come up with a whole context and a personality for that person, which could be very far from the truth when you actually start getting to know that person. And I think that's what I want to talk about. So apparently, also according to science, Aaron, it takes less than 1/10 of a second for us human beings to form an assessment of someone's face. Okay, so apparently these first impressions predict all kinds of important characteristics, which is not just attractiveness. Now, for example, people snap judgments of politicians' competence based on their appearance, based on the first 1/10 of a second, like I told you. You cannot, okay, what I'm trying to get to is that you cannot base somebody's competence, or you cannot base somebody's capabilities and personality in 1/10 of a second. But I feel like in society, that's essentially what we've started to do. That's what we've been taught to do. We've always said, oh, first impressions count. Dress properly, speak nicely, say things that you don't mean, because you need to look nice on the outside, which I think is very problematic. And I understand that there are contexts where first impressions do matter. Like you said, an interview, you can't be dressed in your sweatshirt and your sweatpants and go to an interview. But that's more of a respect thing. You dress up because it's a respect thing. And I don't think that has as society would say that has a lot to do with first impressions, but I don't think it's very related to first impressions. It's more of a respecting, where you dress nicely, where you talk nicely to people, and that essentially cannot get mixed up with this idea of creating a false persona in the name of first impression. Does that make sense? I know it's a lot to process, but yeah, it kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah. It goes back to that old adage, Jamie, of you should never judge a book by its cover. It really does. It goes back to that, and we said previously the dangers of social media, and I need to kind of reiterate that I'm not knocking social media as a platform. I think social media is a great platform, but people tend to put on a front on social media. On social media, on Instagram, for example, you only see the good pictures of people. Because I'll personally say I only post good pictures of myself on Instagram because I'm never going to post a really bad picture of myself. Whenever I'm going out for dinner or if I'm going out with my friends, I always make sure there's a couple pictures being taken, and I don't know why I'm just guilty of that. And I always post the best picture. But that's something that we shouldn't shy away from, because we should be proud of who we are. And everyone has bad pictures. It's not just me. Everyone has bad pictures, and you should be thankful for who you are and proud of who you are, instead of shying away from that and putting on a front on social media like everyone does. I think everyone should be open and honest with each other, and a lot of influencers are starting to do that. They're starting to be more body open. Females in particular, they're really the female background are very
It's a
body
body
conscious.
positive
Yeah,
movement.
yeah, they're body conscious because they want to come across as the best they can be, and it shouldn't be like that. And influencers these days are really showing that you don't need to be perfect to be beautiful.
Absolutely. That is one thing that we need to talk about. We've been talking about how first impressions aren't lasting, as opposed to popular belief. And social media definitely is, I think, one of those places that like it's like a knife, right? You can use it for good, like maybe cooking yourself a meal, but you can also use it to kill somebody. So it's like we had this conversation yesterday. We told you how it's important to be knowledgeable when you're using social media, but it also brings us to this next point that we've been talking to you about, which is the fact that a lot of people, a lot of models, a lot of all of these influencers, it's not real what they put up. It has taken hours of editing. It's a lot of makeup, it's a lot of filters, but when it's put out there, it looks so effortless, and the caption would say something like, oh, I just woke up, and all the little girls and boys out there probably going to be like, oh, I don't look like that when I wake up. But we don't really understand the work that goes behind that picture. But like you said, today's day and age, there's so much more transparency. Whilst there are models that still adhere to that size zero model in a magazine concept, there's a lot more transparency in social media, in terms of acknowledging women and men for who they are, instead of creating this facade of falseness, I feel like. And there are so many people that I follow that are such inspirational figures, especially girls. And when it comes to skin texture, or just loving your body for in all its glory, without having to get something done, or without always having to cover up, or having had to edit it. It's a process of learning to love yourself. And that's why it comes back to this whole idea of first impressions, right? When you formulate a first impression based on how somebody looks, it kind of can affect that person's view of themselves as well, to know that other people are judging them based on just the 1 second of their physical appearance. So I think, as a community, as a society, one thing that we need to start doing is to understand that there's so much more to a person than what you see in the get-go. There's so much more to a person than their physical appearance, right? And we need to stop basing our friendships and who we love, and who we associate, based on that first impression, based on that moment of attractiveness, physical attractiveness.
Yeah, I was just going to just touch on that there. A perfect example is the supermodel Winnie Harlow. I don't know if you've seen. She's got a rare skin condition, which actually shows deformities of her or color of her skin, and she's a perfect example of you can be beautiful, but not perfect. No one's perfect, and she is a great example for a great role model. In fact, for kids growing up to say, you don't need to be like these influencers.
Societies.
Exactly, you don't need to be like these influencers who say they're perfect. You don't need to be like these celebrities who change their bodies just to fit in with society. She's done really well for herself, and she's not perfect, and that paints a perfect picture for our youth growing up.
Absolutely. No, again, bringing up what you said, just perfect. This idea of perfectionism, or this idea of women being perfect or men being perfect. Again, it's such a social construct. Who is deciding what's perfect and what's imperfect? What's perfect to you could be not perfect to me. So this idea of having a size zero body, or having a certain type of skin color, having a certain type of hair color, that's all such a social construct of what perfect is. And I feel like, especially like you said, today's generation, with people like Winnie Harlow coming up and saying, look, this is my body, I'm owning it, I'm perfect the way I am. With people like that being in society, I feel like that just encourages people to kind of acknowledge their own versions of perfect. So that's what I believe. I think that everybody is perfect. It's just different perfects, if that makes any sense. It's everybody is perfect despite what they look or what they don't look like. And yeah, it's just different perfects, and we just got to be accepting of all types of perfect, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, definitely. I think another way of looking at it is we go back to the first impressions topic. You see all these crime documentaries. I know you're interested in crime documentaries and all the rest of it. You see these people coming into court, and they're wearing lovely suits, and they're well dressed, and their hair is really nice. But these people are connected to really serious things, so they're kind of trying to you know persuade the jury that they're someone they're not. They're not dressed like that all the time. People going into court and things are, they're not. Some of them aren't bad people, obviously, but the people that are connected to these crimes are, terrible people, and they're dressing up and trying to create a different persona than what they really are. So it's definitely going back to that adage I said before, is don't um, don't take a book by its cover. It definitely goes back to that. We should really get to know people before we make a decision on them, and I think that definitely stands with what we said.
Absolutely. Okay, just digressing from this topic a little bit. I have a question to you, Aaron. Are you the sort of person, and I want an honest answer, okay? Are you the sort of person, say you go on a blind date, are you the sort of person that will make an impression based on first impression?
I would say yes. I'm guilty for it. I'm guilty for it. I think everybody is. I'm really guilty of it. I think if it's something to do with your life. So if you're going to meet a future partner, or if you're going to meet someone like that on a date, you're gonna make a decision there and then, because essentially this is somebody you're gonna be with. So if it's affecting your life, I think you do make a split decision there and then. I don't know if it's the same for you.
No, it's absolutely the same. And I know for a lot of people listening in, especially when it's a date, if you are on a blind date, you are definitely going to make a first impression. You're going to be judging that person, not judging per se, but you're going to be making a decision on if you want that second date or not based on that first few seconds. And you don't have to be guilty of that, Aaron, because I think that's true for everybody, with the exception of a few people. That's true for everybody, because we've all got our personal types. I would say, you would look for certain something in your partner, I would look for certain something in my partner. But that just again goes to show that we shouldn't confuse that with interview or rather making first impressions on other scales of society. When it's a date, or when it's somebody you're trying to get into a relationship with, or have that intimate sort of bonding with, that's very different. Because yeah, I know so many people that have been like, oh, I don't think I'm attracted to her or him, but then have gone on to fall in love with their personality, and then grow old together. That's amazing to happen as well. But yeah, when it comes to a date, you don't definitely have to be guilty of that, because especially when it's somebody you're trying to get into a relationship, we are human beings. And it's we are visual animals. We're visual people. And especially, like I said, if it's somebody you're trying to get intimate with or trying to be in a relationship with, there's definitely a higher chance of making an impression visually, or judging that person visually. But that's something that we can unlearn as well. Okay, that's okay to have a first impression on a date, but don't let that just be the boundary. Does that make sense? Like, give it a chance. That's what I want to. It's something that I'm learning on a day-to-day basis as well. I just want to remind everybody to give everybody else a chance. Don't make the sole judgment of a person based on the first impression. Just give them a chance. It could surprise you, it could not, but it's always worth to take the chance.
Yeah, Jamie, I just wanted to tell you a funny story. So, maybe I think I've been with my partner now for 4 years now, right? And the day before I met her, I had braces put on my teeth.
Okay.
I was so insecure. I was thinking, oh no, what's going to happen now? She's going to judge me having braces and all the rest of it. And I was so insecure about it. And she was fine with it, and it was just something I was insecure about, and it's something I shouldn't have been insecure about. So that just goes back to our point of talking. If somebody is truly going to make an honest opinion on you, it'll be honest opinion on what you're like inside, and not on the outside. The outside's irrelevant to them if they really do care about you. And I think that's very important to our listeners, to take that into their weekend and definitely be confident in who you are, because essentially it's important to yourself and no one else. Be confident who you are, enjoy your day-to-day tasks and goals and challenges, and just be confident.
Yeah, absolutely. Take his advice. Be as confident as possible, because that's all you got. And yeah, the person that you need to live with is yourself. And if you aren't yourself, you're just fooling not everybody around you, but you're fooling yourself as well. So try to be as yourself as possible. Try to be as real as possible. I know it's not easy in a society that expects certain things, but just try a little harder every day, and I promise you that it's going to be okay. Now, with that being said, we've been having a really long discussion there. We'll go in for a little break, but make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relaks Radio. back to the show. I am Jamie and we have Aaron with us. This is, of course, a chat on Relax Radio. You are having yourself an amazing, amazing day so far. We have a lot to talk about, and we've been having a lot of interesting conversations so far. And if you want to be a part of the show, if you want to join us, let us know what's going on. We would absolutely love to hear from you. You could always call us on 07852 or very simply, if you're listening to any of our social media lives that is going on any of our social media platforms, all you got to do is drop a comment in the comment box, and we can react and reply to your comment in real time, which is absolutely amazing. So if you want to say something to me or Aaron, or if you just want to, share with us how your day is going, we would absolutely love to hear from you. With that being said, I also want to remind you, just a quick reminder before we get on into the discussion for today. I want to remind you to download our app. Okay, it's available absolutely free of charge on iOS and Android. So make sure that you download our app so that you can take us with you wherever that you go. Now, with that being said, Aaron, I thought for the next few minutes, I need to keep everybody listening in, actually give a little update on what is happening with the Friends reunion. Now, yesterday we spoke of the Friends reunion. We spoke of some very special moments in the TV series Friends. And if you don't know, well, then there has been a reunion that was essentially filmed and released a few days back, and fans all over the world are going crazy over it. But in China, there's actually a very weird situation because of certain things in from the reunion have been censored. So fans noticed that something was amiss in China's version of the much anticipated Friends reunion special, because guest stars BTS, Lady Gaga, and Justin Bieber were nowhere to be seen. And fans also found out that stars were caught on all three Chinese streamers with broadcast sites and a lot of LGBTQ references. And I think it was certain other sensitive topics, as the Chinese called it, were gone. Right, were cut out, were censored from the reunion, and a lot of footage of the stars. So basically, the reason as to why Lady Gaga, BTS, and Justin Bieber have been removed from the series in China is because of, accordingly, they are deemed to have insulted China in the past. Therefore, the Chinese government thought it right to censor or cut them off the series, which I think is I don't know if I can use the correct words, but I think it's very ironic that it's done, and it's sad to be a fan of Friends in China, because I personally know a lot of people in China that absolutely love Friends, because it's one of the few things that can be watched in China. So yeah, it must have been very upsetting to see that some of the biggest names of the guest stars were actually cut off from the reunion.
Yeah, it's a real shame. I think it's actually pathetic, to say short. I think that, people should have the right to kind of view or see what they want to see. I was actually watching the Friends reunion yesterday after we spoke about it on the show, and I thought it was amazing to see the cast again and see how they reenact everything, and the bare emotion that they show when they first come on set. It's something that us fans of Friends really want to see, and it's a shame for the Chinese audience that love Friends, the millennials that grew up with Friends. They can't witness the same things that everyone across the world is witnessing because of a political standpoint. So it's a shame for that group of people that are cut off from their own fan base. The celebrities want to interact with their fans as much as possible, and they can't do that in certain countries because of they've upset the country in somewhat way. But yeah, I mean, it's terrible to kind of see that, and it shouldn't be happening in today's day and age. It's a shame, to be short.
Very true. Agreed. It is a shame that certain things need to be cut out. But then again, governments like China, I get that this is not something that we discuss in our show, but there's a lot that is going on around the world with regards to censorship and with regards to, people not being able to say what they want. For example, I don't know if you know what went on in Belarus a few days back, but there was a huge issue that went on there, which I'm sure Nick kept you updated with. But yeah, that's not something we talk about in this show, but it's definitely something that you need to be aware of, that there are people around the world who cannot enjoy their favorite TV shows or cannot say what they want to because it's deemed to be inappropriate. So I guess where I'm getting with this is to make you understand how blessed you are if you live in an area or a context where you can say whatever you want, where you can watch whatever you want, and you have that democracy to become your own person. If you have that freedom, then you need to consider yourself blessed, because there's so many people around the world that are not able to do that because of political reasons. And yeah, I guess what we're trying to tell you is to count your blessings. No matter how horrible life may seem, just know that there's somebody out there who can't watch their favorite TV show, or who can't post on social or use social media, because in China, there you can't they have to use state given social media, so they can't use the same as platforms that we use. So I think, yeah, it's about counting your blessings to be able to enjoy the freedom and doing whatever it takes to hold on to that freedom, to make sure that the future generations also get to experience the beauty of living according to our own rules, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't really be happening. I mean, I don't know if you actually watched the reunion. Did you manage to get to watch some of it?
I didn't. No, I had some work to do yesterday, but
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
actually watch some bloopers. I don't want to ruin it to everybody that hasn't watched it yet, but it was hilarious. Just the bloopers had me laughing for so long, of Matthew doing the stupidest things. It was just hilarious.
Yeah, well, you're missing out, Jamie. Honestly, it's as a Friends fan myself, it's so good to just see the cast again. I mean, I've been waiting for ages for this to happen, and when they say reunion, I thought it was going to be another episode of what
Oh
it was
yeah.
like, now. But yeah, it's good to kind of just see them all together again, and even when I've said it before, but when they're all walking in individually and they're going in and seeing the back behind the stage, and it's so surreal that some of them are just get so emotional, because this is the start of some of their careers, and this is where it all began for some of them, and now they've gone on to do great things in movies and TV programs and things like that. Especially Matt LeBlanc in the UK did Top Gear, which was fantastic. And these things wouldn't have opened up for them if it wasn't for Friends. And I think that for a fan standpoint, that we support these people. We feel like we know these people. We've built a relationship with these people just with watching these episodes on air and on Netflix now as well. And it's a shame that we can't kind of connect with them on the reunion, the highly anticipated reunion that we've all been waiting for as Friends fans. And it's a shame for people in China that we can't really watch this. I mean, James Corden, the host of the reunion, was actually giving some figures of, viewers around the world, and it's watched over 1 billion times on all streams. And that's just ridiculous numbers for Friends. That's considering there's only 7 billion people in the world. That is massive.
It just goes to show that Friends is just like comfort food. It's just that thing that you always have going on in your TV, that in Office, I think, but Friends just more so. Offices are mainly in the UK, but I think more so in the rest of the world. The Friends, the TV series, is basically that go-to TV series for most people. Even though you don't enjoy that sort of TV series, for me, for example, it's not my cup of tea. But yeah, Friends is just, like I told you yesterday, I probably watched almost all episodes. It's just, it's playing on the TV or it's playing somewhere. It's so accessible. And yeah, it's just something that'll put a smile on your face. And like you said, yeah, it almost makes you feel like you know the characters and you forget that they're playing a character and that's not their actual lifestyle or beliefs or whatever. Who is your favorite character? Just a side question.
I think it has to be Chandler, and just saying that, he's had such a tough time outside of Friends, like as an actor and as an individual himself. He's had such a tough time. To see him as a raw, human being, just in the backstage, it was so good. And I don't want to give too much away, but just seeing him reenacting his old scenes and things, and being in his old environment, it was so heartwarming to see again. And I loved every second of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, all the characters, they've been cast perfectly, and yeah, it's just something that is so nostalgic to all of us. And if you are listening in and you haven't watched Friends as of yet, well, if you haven't watched the reunion, I meant to say, but if you haven't watched Friends, make sure that you do, because it is something that will make you laugh even in the toughest of times. So make sure that you do check out Friends. And if you are a Friends fanatic, then make sure that you do watch the reunion, because as Aaron said, I don't know yet, but as Aaron said, it was one of the most amazing things out there, and it's definitely something you need to check out. Now, with that being said, let's head on over for a little break, but make sure that you stick around because we have a lot more to talk about.
A very good morning and welcome back to Relaks Radio. This is the Chat Trap, and we are here keeping you company and giving you listeners some good conversations that are informative and also inspirational to get your weekend underway. Make sure to join us by leaving a comment if you are listening to us live, or give us a call on our number on your screens now on 07852 473 473. We'd love to get you involved in our show today. Also, if you can download our Relaks Radio app on iOS or Android, it's free of charge, and it'll keep you up to date with all things topics that we're going to be talking about throughout the day. Jamie, I just wanted to follow up on the conversation yesterday. We spoke about the anniversary of George Floyd's death and the music that has been sparked from artists all over the world to kind of stop racism altogether and kind of show the hurt that ethnic minorities are going through. We kind of touched on a few artists such as Beyonce and Lil Baby and things like that, and they really show in their music videos the hurt that these people go through, and that kind of just follows on to my next point of athletes and things. I feel like people target athletes the most because of what they play, and people support sports such as football with their life. And there's been obviously stories come out the recent Europa League final. Marcus Rashford has been receiving racist abuse on Instagram and Twitter and things like that, and it's just scary. Just after a year has passed with George Floyd's death, these things are still happening, and it's predominant, and it's more visible than before, I think, and a lot of social media companies need to really do something about this to protect these people, to protect the livelihoods. Mental health is a massive aspect in today's society, and hurtful messages can really go a long way. There's obviously been a bill being discussed just now on social media laws and with politicians, and hopefully they can crack down on these things and make the world a better place, because racism shouldn't be a place in society.
Absolutely. See, like what I said yesterday, I think that everybody, despite of what we look like physically, all of us go through the same things pretty much. We all feel heartbreak, we all feel sad, we all feel joy. And if all of us have the same sort of emotions, if all of us feel have the same sort of fears, then why are we letting something like a race or a religion divide us? Like what I say, it's okay to have your own opinion. It's okay to have your own beliefs. You and I have different beliefs. You and I maybe has different opinions on things, but that doesn't mean that that has to impact how you interact with each other. It doesn't have to mean that that person is is inferior or superior to you. Just different opinions, and that's okay, because that's kind of what makes us unique, and that's why we have so many amazing things in the world, is because different people thought differently, and that is why we are so advanced. And I feel like the most important thing is for us as a society or as a community to understand that different people think differently, and it's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to have a different idea or a perspective, as long as it doesn't infringe on anybody else's ability to make that decision by themselves. Because especially in Europe, right, I feel like as opposed to the rest of the world, especially Europe and even America, we boast saying it's democratic. People can say what they want, people can believe what they want, but then we also draw lines when it comes to race and when it comes to religion or what the people's belief is. So if you can say anything politically, then that means that people need to be given the freedom to practice their religion and believe in what they believe in, and that doesn't mean they're lesser of a human or lesser of a person.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to that, that discussion previously of first impressions. I mean, there's been videos circulating on social media of people on nights out giving racial abuse to staff and things like that. And this is the 21st century now. People need to really stand back and look at what they're doing, because not only does it affect their life, it affects the person receiving the racial abuse. It affects their mental health. It affects how they live. It affects everything about them. And the consequences for racial abuse should be far greater than what they are just now. I mean, there was a video circulating. I don't know if you've seen it. I won't go into much detail on it, but there was a video circulating on social media of somebody on a night out, and they weren't getting into a specific location that they wanted to get into because they forgot their identification to get in. Okay, and the bouncer was only doing his job, albeit he was from an ethnic minority, and the person was giving them racial abuse because they weren't letting them in. That honestly is the worst thing that you can do on your job. You're just working, and you don't. It's the last thing you want to expect is racial abuse, and you distort your mental health. It's something that shouldn't be done in the 21st century, and even for athletes, for anyone, they shouldn't be receiving messages like this today.
Absolutely, especially when you're an athlete or, like you said, a player. You represent your country. You don't represent, you don't represent your race. So you don't represent a certain sect of people. You represent an entire nation or a club if it's club players. And I think that just goes to show that um, even when it comes to like national sport, there's people of different ethnicities, different races, and all of them are trying their level best to bring glory to our country, to bring glory to our nation as a whole rather. And I think that just goes to show that people are just trying to live their life. Just because for me, this whole idea of stereotyping, where just because one person of this race happened to do it, it just naturally people tend to believe that the entire race is alike, if that makes any sense. And yeah, recently we saw a lot of Asian abuse in America. I personally know of a lot of incidents that happened with regards to people being very racist against Asians in America. Uh, that just goes to show that people are finding a reason, whatever it is, to hate on other people, and that really shouldn't be the way. That really shouldn't be uh, the way in the 21st century. We've evolved from that. We've evolved from judging people based on a social construct like ethnicity or race or religion, and yeah, that's definitely one thing that we need to move forward from.
Yeah, I mean, I'll ask you this question. I mean, do you think that social media platforms could do a better job to protect people like this, or do you think there's like something they can do to ban people that are giving racial abuse? Because I definitely think there is a way to do this. I mean, there's certain things that social media platforms can create. I mean, it's not difficult for these people that have created multi-billion pound businesses in social media. It's not difficult to make a firewall to protect, or to suspend accounts that are giving racial abuse. I don't know what your opinion on that could be.
No, absolutely. I think social media and racial abuse. See, this again comes back to the previous conversation that we were having with regards to freedom. Freedom of information, freedom of being able to say whatever you want to say. Again, I want to reiterate and say you can absolutely say what you want to say, or make a comment on social media, as long as it doesn't harm somebody else, as long as it doesn't violate somebody else's freedom or put somebody else down emotionally and mentally. And that's something that a lot of us get confused with. Yeah, earlier on, a lot of people probably think I'm contradicting myself when I'm not. I said, yeah, freedom is important, but your freedom basically ends at the tip of your nose. As long as you don't harm anybody, you can do whatever you want. But the moment you cause certain harm to somebody else, then that's not right, because that person has freedoms and rights and abilities as well. Now, with that being said, going back to your question with social media and racial abuse, I do know that a lot of platforms try their level best to censor anything that is explicitly racist or explicitly harmful in terms of ethnicity or religion or race or whatever. But I definitely think, like you said, social media can do so much more, especially platforms like Twitter, they need to have a better system of monitoring racist comments and racist tweets, and even TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, whatever. There needs to be a better system or a gatekeeping process that has to be put in place to ensure that people don't say racist things, because that's the other thing, right? When you say it, and somebody sees it and it gets offended by it, there's nothing you can do to take it back. Which is why words are so powerful. What we say is so powerful, because when you say something, you can't take it back. A million sorries isn't going to heal somebody that's offended by it. Which is why, okay, so what's the message, Aaron? I think, or rather, the message I think we can give to everybody listening in is be careful with your words. Sometimes even the most non-racist of us can make ignorant comments that can come off as racist, that can come off as offensive. So especially because we live, like in the UK, there's so many people from different cultures, there's so many people from different backgrounds and ethnicities and races, and I think that is very important. Even our children and ourselves, we need to educate ourselves on how to use proper words when interacting with people from different cultures and backgrounds and contexts.
Yeah, I definitely think there is, avenues that we can explore as a whole. Even in the UK, I mean, obviously we can. There's certain laws, and there's smart people that are operating our company that can come up with something to help us overcome these lows that we're going through as people from the ethnic minority. So I think that maybe something I could maybe say is that people making social media accounts should submit some sort of ID, so it has their ID, and they know exactly what comes, the consequences come with racial abuse, because they've got ID. The police can come and contact them, and that would be that. I think that would definitely cut down a lot of racial abuse on social media, and it definitely is a way of crunching that.
That is definitely an interesting thought, Aaron. Do you agree with Aaron has to say? Because I definitely do. I think that is one smart thing that is required in today's day and age when using social media. Do you think that's effective? Do you think that's impractical? What do you think? We would absolutely love to hear from you. So, like I always say, make sure that you comment down below and let us know what you're thinking. With that being said, let's head on over to a little break, but make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relaks Radio. Welcome back to the show. This is, of course, the chat wrap on Relax Radio. Now, Relax Radio, relax is basically spelled without the X in relax because we're all about positivity. We are all about making sure that you are as hyped up as possible to, get on with your day, and we are making sure that you let go of all of those negative vibes by giving you some good conversation. At least that's what we're trying to do, and we hope you are enjoying. If you are, all you got to do is let us know by checking us out on our social media platforms. That is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We go as Relax Radio. And we want you to go show us some love on our social media platforms. Now, with that being said, Aaron and I have been talking about a lot of different things. But right now, I do want to talk about the entertainment industry for a second and the movie industry to be specific. And basically, Amazon is buying MGM Studios for about 8.45 billion US dollars, and the companies announced, I think, this on last Wednesday, and they marked Amazon's most ambitious move yet into the entertainment business. Now, this is Amazon's second largest acquisition, basically, Aaron, and yeah, it paid 13.7 billion to buy the chain Whole Foods. I don't know if you're aware, but that's a huge chain in the US, and yeah, Amazon paid 13.7 billion US dollars for Whole Foods in 2017, and after that, this is the highest, largest acquisition, and that happens to be MGM Studios. Now, I can see a little confused look on Aaron's face, and I know you're probably confused as well with what is MGM Studios. Well, MGM Studios basically has one of the largest and most illustrious catalogs in Hollywood because it owns or it produces more than 4,000 films and 17,000 TV shows that all of us are familiar with. Now, a few of these movies include Legally Blonde. It's one of my, I don't know, it's one of the most classic movies in my opinion. Legally Blonde is one of the most American, most classic movies out there, and that essentially belongs to MGM Studios. Rocky, Pink Panther, Tomb Raider, Raging Bull, RoboCop, Silence of the Lambs, Thelma and Louise are a few of the most popular movies that belong to MGM Studios. Okay, but the reason I wanted to talk about this is because as soon as people got to know that MGM Studios is being bought over by Amazon, a lot of people voiced out their concerns with regards to the movie franchise James Bond. Aaron, are you a fan of James Bond or?
I love James Bond. I love all the movies, the James Bond movies. It's such like a big part of UK history, isn't it? So I think it was good that I don't know if I did a little bit of homework on it. They said that it would stay on the big screen, which is good for the UK as a whole, and the whole world has James Bond fans. So it's good that Amazon are letting the films to be out there and not closed into their subscription base. So that's really good for the UK as a whole, and for merchandise and all the rest of it. I think that James Bond's definitely a massive part of the UK history, and it's good that they're allowing it to have that freedom.
Absolutely. So that is as true as it gets. It is amazing for the UK that James Bond is kind of taking it up a notch with regards to Amazon, because it's going to be so much bigger. They have the facilities, the infrastructure to handle MGM Studios as a whole so much better than them being a sole partner. But that's a very technical business related concept. But the reason I wanted to talk about this, Aaron, is because a lot of people, including myself, I am a James Bond fan as well. The first thing that people thought was that, for me, the first James Bond movie I watched was actually in a theater, and I went with my dad, I think, and I enjoyed it so much because, with the big screen, just being surrounded by people who love the movie, it's just a different experience than streaming it on your laptop in your room, And what a lot of people were concerned about was the fact that James Bond wouldn't be able to remain in theaters and cinemas because it's going to be exclusively on Amazon streaming sites. And a lot of people are like, yeah, that's amazing that it's on streaming sites, but it's also problematic because a lot of the fun of James Bond, it being such a legendary movie, it's about going to the theater, going to the cinema and watching it on the big big screen, because that's a whole different experience. But if you are one of those people that were worried about that, well, worry no longer, because apparently, despite the Amazon deal, James Bond is going to stay on the big screen. Okay, so future James Bond films will continue to be screened in cinemas despite Amazon's deal to buy the movie studio. Yeah, that's some good news. So you don't have to worry about it. It's amazing that Amazon is allowing movies like James Bond to still play in theaters, because I know there's a lot of theatrical fans as well. That kind of keeps cinema alive, in my opinion. So yeah, it's amazing. So now it has two different audiences. It still has its cinema going audience, but it also has a whole new set of audience with regards to streaming and audiences that watch it on sites. So yeah, that's a lot of exposure for the movie, and well deserved as well. I think movies like James Bond are classical movies that everybody has to see at least once in their lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, they've been around for so long now, haven't they? So it's just a movie that's been always there since I've been growing up. So it's good to see it's getting the recognition that it deserves. And there's no better place to experience these sort of movies than going to the cinema, going to the theatre, and taking in that atmosphere of being there, and just soaking in all the movie has to offer on the big screen. But I definitely think the action-packed movies are doing so well just now in the UK. And just another question on leading on to that. Obviously, there has been a few. I've seen a few tweets on James Bond. Obviously, it's trending just now with obviously the Amazon news and things like that. But a lot of people have been giving a little bit of stick to them as well. A little bit of have a little bit of things to say, just because they're a little bit biased. I would say. Would you say that James Bond should be open to a women role?
So can you say that again? James Bond should be?
Do you think James Bond as a character should be open to a women actress?
Women actress? I mean, okay, I don't know. Again, that's going to be a very biased point of view because I am a woman. But I'll give you a woman's perspective, okay? For me, the character of James Bond is so the way he holds himself up, the stuff he does, the heists that he pull off is absolutely amazing. To see a woman do that role and play that character would be, I mean, inspiring to say the least. I don't even want to say it out loud because that just gets my hopes up so much. So seeing a woman do all of that would be, next level interesting. And yeah, it would be inspiring to all girls as well, because it's ideally not something women are seen to do. But I know so many women out there who act as, spies, I would say, and or just carry on very important tasks, to say the least. And I think that just brings me back to Jennifer Lopez and how Lara Croft, I don't know if you are aware of that. So I think the reason that movie blew up so much, let's be fair, the plot is average. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's just good. It's not amazing. It's not exorbitant. It's good. Yeah, but I think what took that movie to the next level is the fact that a person like Jennifer, not Jennifer Lopez. No, it's not Jennifer Lopez. No, Angelina Jolie. What am I saying? Angelina Jolie. She plays Lara Croft. I don't know why I thought of Jennifer Lopez. But yeah, anyway, Angelina Jolie is played Lara Croft in Tomb Raider, and I think the reason that movie got so popular is just because of the fact that a woman portrayed it, and that was something new, and a lot of women around the world. It was so inspirational for young girls and for women as a whole to see a woman being strong, because women are not portrayed in that perspective, I think. So yeah, going back to your question, it would be super interesting to have a woman play the character, but yeah, I don't know. It's up to interpretation, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely think the UK as a whole would be open to it. I think it would be something that obviously takes away the culture of what it has been, but then it would promote a message that where the UK's come now. We've come from leaps and bounds, and it would promote a message to that we're not biased to only males in these certain roles. Males don't just aren't dominant in the business place, aren't dominant in all this place. Women can do exactly the same. And what what a man can do, a woman can do just the same. So I think James Bond as a role is open to all races, all genders, and I think it's definitely something that could be in the future. We could see in the near future.
Absolutely, that would be super interesting. And if that is a reality, that becomes a reality, I'm going to be so excited. And I'm sure a lot of people out there would be very enthusiastic and interested as well. Now, with that being said, do we have anything more to add, Aaron? Or,
No, I
yeah?
think everything covered there. I think we kind of just talked about the history of James Bond as a whole and how Amazon are doing really well in regards to that. And I do think it's a step forward that they have publicised it as a public movie again. It's definitely promotes that UK history and the merchandise it gives, and a lot of foreigners come over to experience that James Bond feel in the centre of London, and kind of see the Aston Martins and things like that. So it's good to see that they've taken that on board, and they've given us a little bit of leeway on that.
Very true. Absolutely agreed. Now, if you do agree with this as well, we'd love to hear from you. Like we always say, make sure that you comment down below if you're listening in, or call us up and check us out on our social media. With that being said, let's head on over to a little break, but make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio.
A very good morning and welcome back to Relaks Radio. This is the Chat Strap, and we're here keeping you company and giving you listeners some good conversations that are informative and also motivational for your weekend. Make sure to join us by leaving a comment if you are listening to us live, or give us a call on our number on your screens now, 07852 473 473. So I'm just going to continue on with those positive vibes, Jamie, and just talk a little bit in our final section on a conversational starter of is there a dark side of believing in true love? So I'm going to start us off here just by talking with another follow-up question, and which will link into conversations we've had before in regards to judging a book by its cover and first impression things like that. So I'll follow up with: is love at first sight a real thing? And I would personally say no. Need to judge a person by the inside. I think you can think people are beautiful. You can think they're look really nice and things like that. But love is more than that, and I think it comes from within. And you need to know the person inside and out to actually believe that love is a real thing. And that kind of leads on to the dark sides of things, the dark side of love. And which is a false persona that some people may do on blind dates or first dates. They might give a front of someone they're not, and then you get to know them. You're with them for a couple of months or even a year, and they're not the person that you thought they really were. And then that kind of falls into another thing of couples moving into their first home together. It could be all fine and dandy when you're together and you're not living in the same household, but then when you come into the one household and you're one, you might start to hate each other. You might start to get on each other's nerves, and it might break down that relationship. So I think there is definitely a dark side to true love, but there's also positives, and but I definitely think that the positives outweigh the negatives, but there definitely is negatives there.
Okay, yeah. So I agree with you on so many levels. Now, just one thing I want to go back to is this whole idea of true love and idea of falling in love at first sight. Love at first sight. Now, okay. So I probably would agree with you and say I don't believe in it because it's never happened to me, right? But I have met people who say that they have experienced love at first sight, and they're with their significant other, and they knew at the first few seconds that they met them that they were supposed to be together. As cheesy as that may sound, but I genuinely have met people who believe in love at first sight. But necessarily, I don't agree with it, and I think there's so many problems with love at first sight, like what you said, because I haven't experienced with it. But I guess there's going to be people out there who, with personal experiences, I guess opinions like that change from person to person. So I'm sure that there's people out there who have a different perspective. But going back to the latter part of the conversation the points that you brought out, Aaron, with regards to, people using love as a form to be somebody they're not, just to entrap somebody else and then make them realize that they fell for somebody that they didn't even know. I've read stories where these things like this have happened, where the one of the partners are either work for the government. I'm coming again like a movie plot, I think. No, but I genuinely have read stories of you're being married to somebody. I think I'm not sure, but Ted Bundy, I think his significant other didn't know about his situation for the longest time. Oh my goodness, I'm just giving people such a bad idea of love. Jeez.
And don't worry, not all men are like Jamie. Not all men are like Ted Bundy. Don't worry about that. It's more.
I hope so.
More on the fact that I think that if someone's telling you that they have love at first sight, I can't see it. I don't know. It's just something I've believed in. I can't see it. It's not. You have to get to know the person. You have to get to talk to the person. You have to get to see what they're like inside and out. They could be really, really good looking and then be a terrible person. Or they could be vice versa. Everyone's beautiful, but they could have imperfections, and they could be a really, really nice person and something that that's that you look for in a person. But it goes back to that old adage of don't judge a book by its cover, and I keep reiterating that because it's such an important thing for our listeners to understand, and take that into the weekend when they're going to have fun. They're going to go out to bars, they're going to go out to restaurants. Obviously not clubs, they're not open yet in the UK, but yeah, they're gonna go out and experience that and throughout the weekend when and I hope they take in this message on Relax Radio, and understand that you need to get to know people. You have to love yourself first before you love someone else. You need to give that message out.
Yeah, I think we've been talking about love. We spoke of true love. I absolutely think true love is a thing. I know people who love each other to death, even though that might be hard to find in today's day and age because of everything that's going on. But like my parents, for example, it's super cheesy, but I know couples that are super in love with each other. So I've seen true love with my own eyes, and I think the most, keep aside all of that, right? I think the most important love relationship that you have somebody is with yourself. You need to learn, like what you said, you need to learn how to love yourself first so you could share that love. I think a lot of relationships in today's day and age don't work out. Obviously, I'm not a relationship expert, but relationships don't work out because you try to get into a relationship and get to know somebody else when you don't even know yourself. You try to formulate this relationship with somebody, try to learn about that person, whereas you still haven't discovered yourself. Then it's really hard to be in a serious relationship. And yeah, and I think another problem in society today is, we're talking about relationships now, but another problem in society is that a lot of people feel pressured to be in a relationship or to be intimate with somebody. But if that's not something that you want to do, then it's not something you want to do. You need to be in that mental space where you have given enough attention to yourself that you can spare attention for somebody else. So I think that's also something that I want to remind everybody listening in. It's super important that you first discover yourself, that you you learn to love yourself so that you can share that journey and go on that journey with somebody else. Or it's unfair for that other person as well. So that's definitely one thing that you need to remember. I'm not a love guru. I know nothing about relationships, but yeah, that's a generally it's a general etiquette that you need to have, especially when you're getting into a serious relationship with somebody else.
Yeah, it definitely goes down to respect as well. I mean, a lot of people in the UK, I mean, we'll focus on the UK because that's where we're from. But a lot of people, are trying. It's so difficult to find true love, and once you do find that person that you feel like they mean so much to you, it's amazing. They have the same interests as you. They do everything together with you, and it's just amazing to have that person there with you and discover that person. But that comes with a lengthy period of time of getting to know them, understanding how they are as a person, and their ethos in their day-to-day life. My partner's really hard working in everything she does. She is the same qualities that I look for in myself she has, and she's competitive, she's funny, and without sounding cheesy, I'm glad that I found somebody. Without being cheesy, I'm not a love guru, but I'm glad that I found somebody like her that she keeps me on my toes, and it's also it's fun. We have fun together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's very important, to be able to have fun with somebody and just be yourself, and have this other person accept you, all of you. And yeah, it's definitely down to respect. It's definitely down to if that person is willing, like you said, your partner is hardworking. And I think that's another thing that we need to understand, especially being young people, being millennials, being from the generation of the Gen Zs. I think it's important to understand that everybody is very professional. Most people, at least, are very professionally driven, and that person has a set of goals that they want to achieve, and definitely you are in that journey with them, but that should never be a hindrance to you achieving your goals, or your significant other achieving the goals in their life. Because I think relationships should never ever hinder somebody from achieving what they want to do in life. In fact, it should strengthen you it should be that boost essentially. That's even in my relationships, that's definitely one thing that I look for, and that's one thing that everybody should look for. You need to have a partner that will encourage you to live life the way you want to, as opposed to dragging you down and saying this is what you need to do now, or this is how you need to behave or act or whatever. So that's very important. But before it's about the time that we end the show, Aaron. But before we go, I want to share with people a few things that you can do to love yourself, a few self-care tips. Okay, so what can you do? What do you think is the best way for you to connect with yourself, for you to fall back in love with yourself, Aaron?
Personally, what I do is I love to exercise, and we did mention that before. I love to be the best version of myself. So if that makes me want to do some exercise, if that makes me feel good about myself, then I'll do that. I mean, we did speak about this earlier in the show at the very start. I mean, I do look to try and get some form of exercise, if that's an hour or 2 hours, anything, from a walk to a run to anything, just to keep myself ticking over and feel good about myself. Because essentially, if you feel good about yourself, you'll it's infectious, and you'll pass that on to everyone else. And definitely what we spoke about before, good habits in your eating styles, eating healthy foods and drinking enough water, drinking enough fluid, all these things, living a healthy lifestyle will definitely reap the benefits of loving yourself.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. I couldn't agree more. It's super important to engage in activity that makes you aware of your physical body and aware of your mental state as well, because that's the only way you can truly accept all of you and fall back in love with yourself. Also, another avenue that I think is important to talk about is pain. Something that is very what's the word, glossed over in the media is accepting pain and like hardships and heartbreaks or whatever. But one thing that I do want to remind everybody is, if you want to love yourself, if you want to accept yourself, you need to accept that there's going to be pain in your life. And see, I know that both of us, Aaron and me, we talk to you about positivity quite a lot, right? But that there are certain times when, in order to become a better person, you need to accept your grieving process, or you need to accept the pain in order to move on, right? You can't just gloss over it and cover your pain and cover the hurt with the facade of positivity. That's essentially toxic positivity, and that's not how it works. So definitely, like Aaron said, be becoming intact with your body, with your physical body. But I want to tell you that with regards to falling in love with yourself on a mental level, one thing that you need to do is to be willing to feel pain and to take responsibility for your feelings. It's super important that you take responsibility for your feelings. I think that also stems from, I don't know about you, Aaron, but I am definitely a person, I used to at least blame my context and blame my surrounding and the people around me for the negative things that happen in my life. But the instant that I kind of put that responsibility on myself, and I realized that I'm the only one that can control my thoughts, it's not my context, it's not my environment, it's not the people around me. The moment you start to realize that your life truly does change for the better and you become more capable of loving yourself. I know that's a lot to take in, but that definitely is the truth. At least with me, it's true. And I hope, I want you to try it out and see and let me know if it's true in your lives as well.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would say enjoy the negatives or the downfalls that you have, because although it sounds easy to say, enjoy it, because it's not going to be there forever. It'll subside. The pain will subside over time. It might be a week, a month, a year. It will eventually subside. So enjoy the process of your life and enjoy the ups and downs, because everyone has downs and everyone has highs. I've definitely personally had experienced some very low points in my life, and I've enjoyed them, because I know that that's just in the past now, and I'm in a new frame of mind, and I'm on the way up, and I'm enjoying my life now, and I'm enjoying the benefits that come with it.
And you essentially learn from it. That's what I think the most important thing about the lows in life is, you learn from it, and it's a learning experience. And unless you accept it and, like you said, acknowledge the lows in your life, you're never going to learn from it. So it's going to keep repeating. So yeah, definitely one thing that you need to do if you want to fall back in love with yourself, which is important when it comes to having stable relationships, you need to accept the pain, take responsibility for your feelings, take responsibility for yourself, and just try to be a better person on a day-to-day basis. With that being said, I think it's about time that we head on out of here. What do you say, Aaron?
Yeah, no, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone tuned in on all platforms on our social media. It really does go a long way for myself and Jamie to, see the support we're getting at Relax Radio, and I hope that the listeners kind of benefit from the positive messages that we're giving off and taking it into the weekend. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all again.
Absolutely. See you again. Hope you have an amazing day ahead.